So the Trump regime is now attacking the MeidasTouch network. They are using the Department of Justice social media accounts to respond to our MeidasTouch reporting, saying that our reporting was false with regards to the Epstein files release batch 8 that took place 24 hours ago. We stand behind our reporting and we stand up against the Trump regime. We are not CBS. We do not bend the knee. Let me tell you what's going on here. So, as you know, the MeidasTouch network was the first to report before any other news network talked about it. We reported first about that letter that seemed to be sent from Jeffrey Epstein to Larry Nassar. Larry Nassar, of course, was an individual convicted of sexual abusing hundreds of young girls. That's a physician to the U.S. gym team and the Michigan State University gym team. And so the MeidasTouch network reported, you remember, the following in data set 8, batch 8 of the Epstein files release, which was briefly posted on the Justice Department's website. There is a letter alleging to be sent from Epstein to convicted sex offender Larry Nassar. It talks about their love of young ladies, and it talks about our president shares our love of young nubile girls. When a young beauty walked by, he loved to grab snatch, whereas we ended up snatching grub in the mess halls of the system. Life is unfair. Yours, J. Epstein. We made very clear in our reporting the facts surrounding this letter. We explained that the letter was returned to sender. We reported how their other reporting indicates that Epstein sent a letter to Nassar from prison before his alleged suicide. The contents of that letter were never revealed, and additional documents show that the letter was submitted for handwriting analysis by the FBI, though it's unclear if investigators reached a conclusion whether or not this was definitively written by Epstein. It would be nice if we could see what the FBI analysis was back after this letter was uncovered. This letter purports to be postmarked August 13th of 2019. It does have the bearings of a Virginia penitentiary address, but that is the routing center for where these letters get sent when you're in MCC, the Metropolitan Correction Center. It would potentially go to Virginia, and it doesn't get sent out right away, so it would make sense that there could be a delay from when Epstein wrote it to Epstein's alleged death by suicide to when it got sent out. So we gave all the details and the facts that it was sent out for FBI analysis back in 2019, 2020, and no one knows where the handwriting analysis is. So the U.S. Department of Justice's official account responded to the MeidasTouch post. And here's what the U.S. Department of Justice wrote. They said, the FBI has confirmed this alleged letter from Jeffrey Epstein to Larry Nassar is fake. The fake letter was received by the jail and flagged for the FBI at the time. The FBI made this conclusion based on the following facts. The writing does not appear to match Jeffrey Epstein's. The letter was postmarked 3 days after Epstein's death out of Northern Virginia when he was jailed in New York. The return address did not list the jail where Epstein was held and did not include his inmate number, which is required for outgoing mail. The fake letter serves as a reminder that just because a document is released by the Department of Justice does not make the allegations or claims within the document factual. Nevertheless, the DOJ will continue to release all material required by law. So the MeidasTouch network responded to the DOJ, and here's what we wrote. Thank you for your reply. As noted in our reporting, additional documents show that the letter was submitted for handwriting analysis, though it's unclear if investigators reached a conclusion whether or not this was definitively written by Epstein. So we asked the DOJ, because they're responding and attacking our messages. Was a conclusion reached on the official handwriting analysis? Can you provide the documents detailing the investigation's conclusions? If the letter was confirmed fake by this analysis, were there efforts made to investigate the real sender and understand how the letter was discovered by investigators? Also, if you think about what the Department of Justice has been producing in terms of the Epstein files. So far, they've only produced a very small fraction of what's in the files. We don't have the FBI witness statements. We don't have those survivor interviews and the victim statements. We don't have a ton of the FBI reports. We don't have some of the under seal indictments that were never previously released. We don't have a lot of that. So why would you be putting out, DOJ, fake letters out of context and then to say it's fake? So there's just now fake, manipulated, fabricated letters within the Epstein files. In many ways, if it was fake, wouldn't that make it worse and traumatizing victims even more, that you've been okay with fabricated fake documents where you didn't do the analysis that was supposed to be done back in 2019 and 2020 over the forensics, and now you're just releasing fake documents? Are you trying to release fake documents to say, look, none of these documents can be trusted at all? Is that part of the plan that you are engaged in? Why wouldn't you make that clear when these were produced in the first place? Why would it have to be reported? And also, at the time, we do know that this letter was indeed sent from the Metropolitan Correction Center where Epstein was, and it was found around Epstein's belongings. So how did it get there? Doesn't this raise many more questions? As Seth Abramson writes, CNN confirmed as well that the envelope holding the Epstein-Nasser note was sent from the Metropolitan Correction Center in New York City, where Epstein was being held to Nasser, and got vetted by federal officials, which explains the Virginia postmark, which is where the FBI is. So why won't the FBI release the 2020 handwriting analysis if it did? If that analysis concluded the note was a forgery, how did the FBI preclude the possibility, even likelihood of dictation in 120 minutes? Where's the real Epstein-Nasser note we know that Epstein sent? Because we do know from emails from the Bureau of Prison that were obtained by the Associated Press in 2023 that there was an Epstein letter to Nasser. So this is the fake Epstein-Nasser letter. What the hell is going on here? And one of the things that happened before the DOJ and FBI attacked Meidas with that post, they previously posted another message saying that they would do an investigation. Then 90 minutes later, they said their investigation's done. It's false. Game over. There's no need to talk about it. We're going to attack MeidasTouch. Now, there were a lot of survivors who have been pissed about that. There are survivor statements that are out there now saying, this is traumatizing us more, essentially, that you're out there saying that there's fabricated and false documents that are in the files. What the hell is happening, DOJ, or what these survivors are saying right now? One of the things that we also know is currently taking place, and Axios is reporting, and it's being reported elsewhere. So the White House has begun managing the DOJ's account on X, an effort to finish out the year and the Epstein file disclosure. So the White House is now running the DOJ social media accounts. And we also know that the Trump administration estimates that it has about 700,000 more pages to review before it claims it will be releasing the Epstein files. So there's 700,000 more documents. And you've prioritized submitting fake documents publicly, or maybe it's not fake. So what the hell is really going on here? Also, the Justice Department's leadership has now asked career prosecutors in Florida to volunteer over the next several days over Christmas and New Year's to help redact the Epstein files. So what were the 1,000 DOJ lawyers doing back in March? Jason Leopold of Bloomberg did a FOIA request back in March, and there were 1,000 lawyers working on it then. What was it? 14,000 overtime hours or something ridiculous like that? Why weren't you putting 1,000 lawyers? I thought you were putting 1,000 lawyers on it after the Epstein Transparency Act was passed. So a supervising prosecutor in the Southern District of Florida's U.S. Attorney's Office emailed the entire district on Tuesday announcing an emergency request from the Deputy Attorney General's office the SDFL must assist with. We need AUSAs to do remote document review and redactions related to the Epstein files, the email said. So now they're rushing to do more redactions over Christmas and before New Year's? What were you doing before? Look, Roger Sullenberg, I think, puts it in the right context. He responds to the Department of Justice's attacks, saying that, oh, this is a fake letter. And Sullenberger goes, If this is true, why did the DOJ hang on to a fake, irrelevant letter for years and then release it without clarification alongside tens of thousands of pages of authentic documents? Are other records fake? How and when will we know? Or maybe that's the whole point of this silly behavior, to basically say, oh, everything is fake here, you can't trust anything. It's hard to appreciate, Sollenberger writes, the collective psychological damage that this silly, mendacious, thoroughly unserious administration has already done in less than a year. It's absolutely true right there. Sollenberger previously wrote, this morning, DOJ tweeted that some Trump allegations in today's batch were false, no specificity, and they decide to specify this letter hours later. FBI requested a forensic handwriting analysis right there, late 2019, 2020. But DOJ's new tweet explaining its conclusion doesn't cite the analysis. So the White House would like to make it seem impossible to tell what's credible versus what isn't credible, and they will happily shape this release to try to discredit responsible journalists trying in good faith to report accurately and evenly about what is being disclosed and included in the documents. Maybe the forensic analysis confirmed it's not Epstein's handwriting. Wouldn't it be nice to know what the actual forensic analysis says? And I think here's an important point that shouldn't be lost on you either. And it comes from Ryan Goodman. And he points to this document that was released, which indicates that there's all these other documents out there. Goodman writes, this is among the most important list of documents the public needs to see. And here's the document right here, May 6, 2020, and this is from federal prosecutors in the Southern District of New York. Subject, memos. Memo on co-conspirators. We could potentially charge the Monday after Epstein's death, delivered that Wednesday, 7 pages. Co-conspirators update memo December, 86 pages. Corporate prosecution memo, December, 13 pages. Prosecution memo, April, 26 pages. Hasn't been discussed in the 3 weeks since we sent it. Perjury NM memo will be another 30 pages. Where are those memos? Where are the countless other victim and survivor statements that we know exist? And then, you want to talk about red flags? Like, do y'all, and just how you know the Trump regime lies about everything? Remember what Donald Trump said back on January 9th of 2024? Do you remember his social media post then? This was a real post from Donald Trump. This is what Democrats do to their Republican opponent who's leading them by a lot in the polls. This is AI and it's very dangerous for our country. Also, I was never on Epstein's plane or at his stupid island. Strong laws ought to be developed against AI. It will be a big and very dangerous problem in the future. What he's laying out there back in January of 2024 is that he would claim that all of these documents were fake or forged and use AI as a pretext to say everything is false. But we know that Donald Trump was on Epstein's plane many times. I mean, look at what the prosecutors were saying to each other back on January 8th of 2020. For your situational awareness, wanted to let you know that the flight records we received yesterday reflect that Donald Trump traveled on Epstein's private jet many more times than has previously been reported. So if he's willing to lie about not being on the jet when he's been on the jet many more times than previously reported, do you think that they'd be willing to lie about a fabricated letter that actually was sent by Epstein to Nasser that references Trump and nubile young girls or whatever the hell it's saying? Do you think that the regime is capable of also fabricating letters themselves to try to cast dispersion or doubt on the overall files by saying, hey, this is fake, everything is fake? Do you put anything past this regime based on the way they've handled it? Now, the House Oversight Democrats put out the following message. The new DOJ documents raise serious questions about the relationship between Epstein and Donald Trump. And why are Epstein's co-conspirators being protected? What else is the DOJ hiding? This is a White House cover-up, and we're going to end it. Now, there are documents that we've discussed as well that mention at least 10 Epstein co-conspirators. and the co-conspirators' names are redacted in what was produced. Do you remember when Kash Patel, who bought for himself on the taxpayer dime, we bought for him, BMW X5 fleet, because the Chevrolet Suburbans were not enough for him. He needed BMW X5s, bringing him and his girlfriend around in our private jets. But I digress. Do you remember when Senator Kennedy, Senator Kennedy, the MAGA Republican from Louisiana who does the fake accent, and he's like, hey there, everybody. And that's not actually how he talks. But he he asked Kash Patel, so are you telling me that there's no co-conspirators at all? Are you telling me that? And remember Kash Patel's testimony where he said there are no credible evidence. There's no credible evidence of Epstein co-conspirators. And there's documents that were just produced saying that there are at least 10, potentially the pilots and all these other rich billionaires whose names are redacted. And if their names are redacted and they're listed as co-conspirators, that means there's witness statements about them, victim statements about them, survivor statements, potentially grand jury testimony about them, internal memos about potential prosecution against them. There's all of this, and there's 700,000 more documents that haven't been turned over when it was due December 19th. Come on, people. Come on, people. We get what's going on here. So anyway, they could keep attacking us all they want. But we're going to keep reporting fearlessly thanks to you. So please make sure you subscribe. Help us hit 6 million subscribers. I think what we're doing versus what CBS is doing, I think there's a big difference between Bend the Knee Media, CBS, and MeidasTouch leading the way. We were the first to report on the Nassar letter, getting attacked by the Trump DOJ, and apparently it's the White House using that account now. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million together, and thanks for watching.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.